Mm-hmm. 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 What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, and I'm here with my beautiful, sexy, gorgeous wife. Say hi, boo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Akdi, and today we are reviewing one of the biggest hits of this year, The Sinners.
Yes, not The Sinners, but Sinners. I mean, there's a bunch of different sinners in it. Why not? Let's call it The Sinners. Who cares? This is a 2025 horror / action / drama / historical piece
/ musical.
It's a musical. Like, I did not see that in any of the discussion online about this film. That is technically kind of musical.
Yeah,
it is literally. So yeah, this is another Ryan Coogler masterpiece. I don't think he's made a movie I did not like. The brother has done some incredible work like Black Panther, Fruitvale Station. I like the Creed film. You kind of, you know.
I liked it when I watched it. It's just like, I don't remember it now.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. But he's been doing well for himself. And shout out to Ryan Coogler, man. He's one of them guys. And this film stars Michael B. Jordan playing two characters, Smoke and Stack, two black guys who went to war in World War I, made a ton of money, went to Chicago, made a ton of money in the illegal bootlegging trade, I guess. And now they're coming back down south to where their home is to open up a juke joint that is going to play the blues and make them rich. And so, yeah, we watched this movie last night online. We didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait for the HD version to leak online because, I've just been hearing so much commentary about this film and I just have to give my take on it. So, what did you think about it?
I enjoyed it. The thing is, I didn't go in with sort of any expectations because I was like, just the things you hear about the story, it's like, okay, vampires, and it's like black vampires, and I don't know what's gonna happen. But I really enjoyed it, actually, because it was a lot of like character development, a lot of built up, some great music, and just some like very memorable scenes. And I think it has also like, it's not just a fantasy movie, it's not just a vampire movie. It connects to like a lot of different themes. Cultural, religious. So yeah, I thought it was a very interesting take on like a vampire movie.
Yeah, the only other vampire movie I think we have reviewed is Nosferatu. And that's a film that came out last year, and I think both of us just said it was okay. I like how vampires can be interpreted by different writers and directors to do different things and mean different things. Mm-hmm. Nosferatu is more about lust and desire and seduction. These vampires are a bit different in that their motivation seems to be more religious and more about unifying people and bringing people together, which I think is one of the brilliant things about Ryan Coogler's writing, like how he did in Black Panther. He made Killmonger, another character that Michael B. Jordan play, somewhat you could be sympathetic towards him because his aim, you're like, okay, at least that makes sense. It's not just hate for hate's sake. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's an interesting theme because hate does bring a lot of people together. Mm-hmm. And in our world, we don't like that because it brings like, I don't know, white supremacists together. It brings like Zionists together. And you're like, we don't want that. We don't want that type of unity. And we always like assume the people who, people who don't go that route, we kind of like see themselves as good people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's an interesting take.
But all of the characters here have some level of gray to them. They might be good, or we're rooting for them. They're the protagonists, but they're not exactly like who you want to invite over for dinner or who you want to, get on the wrong side of because they could, cut you out. Specifically, Smoke and Stack. I mean, let's talk about Michael B. Jordan. He plays two characters in this film, a set of twins. And what did you think about that?
I was a bit irked in the beginning. I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. It feels kind of not authentic to, have one person play two characters. But later on in the movie, I actually didn't mind it. Certain points, I felt like I can't tell who's who. Mm-hmm. That was a bit annoying, but overall I think he did a good job because it is a hard thing to play two characters.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of weird, right? Like you're talking to your stunt double who's playing you, but also your brother. So then you say your lines for you, but then you have to do it again as you again, but it's your brother now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like because when people are acting like they like to get into the character, but he had to get into two characters.
Yeah.
And even though they are very similar, they're also different in certain aspects.
Yeah. The twin thing really bothered me about this film. Maybe not so much as you, but throughout the film, I thought, okay, they're going to use this more, as in the idea that they're identical twins, not fraternal twins. They literally look the same. So I thought it might have been that cliche of like, he's the real vampire, not me. No, he is, not me. You know what I mean? And then somebody didn't know who to stab through the chest with a wooden spike or whatever. But it didn't turn into that. I really feel like this was a missed opportunity to have Michael B. Jordan play against another great black actor who's walking this earth right now. And I believe Lakeith Stanfield could have been a good co-star in this film. Like Michael B. Jordan could be the hunky, hero who saves the day and kills the vampire. But Lakeith, I feel like he's made for that weird role to be a good vampire on screen. I mean, what we saw in Book of Clarence, what he did in Judas and the Black Messiah, Sorry to Bother You. Like he has such a range and just a quirkiness about him that I feel like this was a missed opportunity to have him, use his talents.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea of like Lakeith playing the brother. I think it would have been a different vibe. It would have added a different vibe to the movie, like a bit more relaxed, a bit more comedic relief maybe at certain points, because I feel like he would bring that. Because
Lakeith has like a certain danger about him. He could be like a gangster to some degree, but he obviously is not, the woman's desire, like the hunk on screen, you know what I mean? Of course, probably women like him and find him attractive, but not the same way Michael B. Jordan is. Like he is made to be, that action star in the same way Will Smith is and stuff like that. Okay. So that could have been a good back and forth.
I just want to say something and get it off my chest.
Go.
I think Michael B. Jordan is a beautiful, beautiful man. Like he's a good looking man, no doubt about it. And he has a good aura. To me, he does give little dick energy. I don't know why.
Okay.
He just does. And I don't want to put anything on him. I love you, Michael B. Jordan. If you ever hear this review.
Okay.
It's just like,
something about him.
Yeah.
There is something off with like our new crop of black male stars. Like Aaron Pierre, you even say like, yeah, there's something about him, but maybe he's a bit too perfect. And we both know how, you feel about Jonathan Majors. Like he's a bit weird as well.
Yeah.
And Lakeith as well. He might be cool. Like Lakeith might be the one guy I would like want to hang out the most with. But even still, he's like kind of weird too. Like he's listening to like Oasis and like all sorts of shit in the car, and I'm like, bro, turn this shit off. You know what I mean? Like old Coldplay, like demo tape Coldplay.
Wow.
And he's like, no, you gotta hear this, man. It's the greatest tape.
He loves Tame Impala.
Yes, like he is the biggest fan, front row, knows all the guys by name, even the drummer.
But yeah, I just had to say that. Sorry to like.
No, it's real.
The topic.
It's real. I do think there's something off a bit because we don't have like our Denzels and like our Cuba Gooding Juniors like. And they're just not the same.
Ice Cubes.
Yeah, Ice Cube as well. Like there's something off about these millennial or Gen X stars.
I wouldn't necessarily say off. I feel like that's the wrong word to say. It's just like, I don't know. Like for everyone, there's something missing in the package, and I think that's completely okay and fine.
Yeah, they're 21st century men.
Yeah, none of us are like the complete package. Yeah, so I don't expect them to be.
It's just I don't think we'll ever see like a guy like oh man, who's the guy who says these motherfucking snakes on these motherfucking plane? He's in every Quentin Tarantino movie. biggest star of all time.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, I don't think we'll ever see a Samuel L. Jackson type character again. Like, they don't make niggas like that no more.
I mean, Samuel L. Jackson doesn't have a sex appeal. He's just a great actor.
No, but I mean, like, a guy you were like, okay, he's normal. You know, like, these other guys just feel a bit weird.
I just felt like it was necessary for me to say that because I cannot see Michael B. Jordan as a sex symbol because he's giving me small dick energy
the entire time.
Yes.
Interesting.
And with like Denzel and Idris, for example, they're just giving the whole energy.
Okay, you know? We get that acting. Okay, we had 3 minutes.
I cannot like lust after Michael B. Jordan the same way I would lust after like Idris.
Okay, so if I said smash or pass, smoke or stack, you're gonna pass both?
I'm gonna say threesome.
Okay, well you just said his little dick energy.
Well, if it's 2 of them, maybe it will do something.
You can combine them dicks into one.
Yeah, and plus like small dick is fine.
Wow. Okay, so all of that was brought up. Oh yeah, small dick energy, but small dick is fine. That's insane. That's crazy. Anyway, this is not the review. The movie is not Michael B. Jordan's cock.
Why you said it like that?
This is the worst review of Sinners you'll hear online. I swear to God it is. There's no way to make this work. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, this film, as Akdi said earlier, touches on a lot of different themes and things. The movie opens up with this cartoon sequence talking about how in different cultures, nations, religions, they believe that music can open the door to another realm, like another spiritual dimension. But when you do that, you're also inviting in the evil. The evil spirits could want to also be a part of that music as well, right? And so the movie then goes into the live action part where this young boy pulls up in a car and his guitar is all broken and he walks into a church. He's covered in blood and the people there are dressed in white and they're shocked that this person is entering. But the pastor of this church is the father of this boy named Sammy, right? And Sammy is played by
Miles Caton. Miles
Caton. And Miles Caton, supposedly this is his first role, and shout out to him, he did very well. And the father is played by Saul Williams, a famous rapper, director, multi-talented person, right? And the father is telling, Sammy, come back to the Lord, repent. If you keep on playing that music, the devil is going to follow you. And we don't know exactly what Sammy does when he's faced with this dilemma, right? And so, then that's when we see, Smoke and Stack come into town. And these guys are notorious gangsters in the Deep South, right? They went off to Chicago, went off to World War I, made a bunch of money. Now they're back in town and people are kind of like shook that they're in town because their reputation is that notorious, right? And their plan is to open up a juke joint for all the black sharecroppers who work day and night in the field for pennies on the dollar. What did you think about, those opening sequences?
I really like the first opening scene with the different cultures. Like those 3 cultures, I feel like movie paid homage to them throughout the movie. Like the Irish culture, Native American culture, Native like Indians, and also West African culture. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of like with the music and with the, costumes or just like a little bit of, fantastical characters appearing on the screen. There were like a combination of, 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And plus a little bit of, later on Chinese culture as well. Mm-hmm. So I really like the fact that even though this is a black movie, it was just like bringing together all these cultures through music and also maybe some of the struggles that all of them might have encountered. And I think like it's a tale as old as time. Like, some like older generation says that, this music is the devil's music, or, young kids are listening to all this rap and they get influenced by it and stuff like that. But now, like, the older generation of today, they listen to the blues, and they think that's the best music. But back then, also blues was seen as the bad influence music.
Which is insane.
Like a cycle.
Which is insane now because blues is considered like, ivory tower, respectable, everybody's grandparents listens to the blues, right? Yeah. But, I liked how, like you said, it does hint that it is cyclical, what people view as, devilish and what is not, right? And this battle between good and evil, God and the devil and stuff like that. The Smoke and Stack come into town. I thought it was interesting. It reminded me a lot of Rosewood, how Mr. Man is this, guy who went to World War One. Now he's back with all this money, right? And I was just thinking like, okay, these guys are going to attract like attention to themselves and get themselves in trouble with, the whites who don't like to see black folks with money. And we sort of get hints of that when we see Smoke and Stack go to the place that they want to buy, and the white guy is sort of being passive aggressive with them, like saying, "You boys look like you don't have no money." And they say, "Who you calling boy? Ain't no boys around here. We got grown man money and grown man bullets." And the white guy's like, "Oh, I didn't mean no trouble by that." And you think that Smoke and Stack are gonna kill him, but they don't. They just pass him the money and say, "Go on about your day. But if any of your clan buddies come, we gonna shoot them dead." And the white guy says, "Ain't no clan around here no more." Stuff like that, right? What did you think of that scene? Because that scene becomes very important later, and I liked the tension in that scene and sort of highlighting the danger of what they were doing, which is inherent in any film about this time.
I think Smoke and Stack come off very, very powerful right from the very beginning. And I guess like the sad part about it is that they want to build this sort of black relaxation place. That's what it is. And it is for the people who are like working in the cotton fields, and they want them to have a good time but also make money at the same time with their people, from their people, to their people. But the sad part is they have to go through a white person.
Yeah.
That they don't necessarily know if like he's with the Klan, because that's a big thing back then, especially in the South, of course. And yeah, they have to sort of just trust the process.
Yeah.
Even though they are powerful, there are some things that they cannot control if like a whole mob shows up.
What I'm noticing with a lot of black films recently is that we are getting images now that aren't black folks being passively killed and tortured or tormented by white supremacy, but in fact it's more defiance, right? And I think that's what directors like Ryan Coogler and James Samuels, and of course Spike Lee, he's been doing this as well, but there must be a desire for these directors and writers, and also the audience too, because people like this film, to see black men on screen not just bowing down to the white man and getting whooped on and lynched and killed and castrated and stuff like that, right? So I like how in this film there is that reimagining of black resistance, whether it's always true or whether it's just imagined, like just putting that on screen I think is important.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely that powerhouse energy.
Yeah. All right, so now he has big dick energy?
No. That's different.
Okay. All right, so yeah, moving on in the story, right? Smoke and Stack go to town, and in the town there's this Chinese business owner who works in this town that, I don't know if you noticed this, but it was divided by color, right? Literally one side of the street is the black shops and the other side is the white shops, right? And the Chinese business owner is greeted by Smoke or Stack. I'm not going to put in the effort to differentiate. He's tasked with, helping them get the joint open tonight, because Smoke and Stack want to open it tonight. And they want a sign open. The wife comes out, who's played by this Chinese American actress named Lee Jun Lee, and her name is Grace. And they offer her $15 or so to do the job, right? And then she goes to the white side of town, and then gets her daughter, who at the Chinese shop on the white side, right? Which was interesting, right? We also see Smoke or Stack negotiate with this young black girl to protect his car while he's inside, and she honks his horn whenever somebody's trying to steal from the truck, and we see Smoke or Stack shoot one of the guys in the ass and the other guy in the knee for trying to rob him. Any comments on those scenes?
I think in that scene where we see the town, there were a lot of tones of capitalism with everything. Starting with, for example, the Chinese couple. They are trying to, survive in this world where they have southern accents, so they feel very native, but they also look different from other people as well. And I think they're just kind of trying to survive. they're good with the black folk, but they're also like trying to make money from the white folk as well. It's like they're in the middle between like the two sides, I guess. But it feels like their loyalty is more with, you know, the black people, just because of this couple that have good relationships with the twins. And they are the only, you know, Chinese people that we see in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also like with Michael B. Jordan, Stack or Smoke, like talking to that girl, teaching her like ways of how to make money, how to negotiate, and things like that, and then shooting, you know, other black people because they were robbing him. It's giving, you know, capitalism, survive or die.
Yeah, like the ruthlessness of it, right? But also, after Smoke or Stack shoots that guy in the ass, he gives money to the Chinese couple to like get that guy to the shop, right? So it's like sort of like tough love, that old Wild West code, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, I'm gonna stand up and protect what's mine, but I'm also gonna look out for my people, which is weird in a way. I shoot you in the ass, but then pay for your surgery.
I mean, you know, it's not weird for me because we do it all the time. People in Turkey who rule us love to fuck us, fuck us up, but then they would defend us like internationally. Like,
Okay,
bro, that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's wild. But another thing I have to say about like part of that opening scene is that, you know, the movie feels like Ryan Coogler or just the people that were involved in writing it wanted to like send this message that maybe black folks should return to the South. Because there's this scene where Sammy asked one of the twins, like, I heard y'all went to Chicago, there's no Jim Crow there, and he says, don't believe everything you read or see or hear, because Chicago is just Mississippi with tall buildings, and we'd rather deal with the devil we know. And this is, you know, something that black folks think about sometimes, like, should we, you know, go to places where we hear there's no racism? Should we have a Blacksit, right? Or should we just be in the South, right? Because we, you know, that's our like ancestral cultural home in America. That's where most of us still are, and that's where, you know, our ancestors worked, lived, and died. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the film agrees with that idea of going back home. It's not something I agree with, but I get what they're coming from, and also as a part of explaining the motivations of the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like on one side you have like sort of a longer term psychological, mental, and systematic like discrimination, and on the other side, I guess, which is like living in the South, you have, yes, maybe it's more explicit, and yeah, but at the same time you can die. Like someone could shoot you just because you are black.
Right, but that could be anywhere. Like they said, Chicago is Mississippi with tall buildings.
That could be. And also in the South, the systematic racism continues. It's not like they have a different system than what they have in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's just, you know, back then they didn't have TV, Twitter, Instagram. They didn't know. They just heard what people said. And you know how it is, like, Turkish people, I'm sure, go to Europe and then they come back and say, oh yeah, everything in Europe is so much better here in Turkey. But they don't know that in Europe they're struggling, they don't have money, like, but they come back and ball and flex because they have euros. So I'm sure like a lot of other people back then did that. They went to New York and came back and said, oh yeah, so great, I'm doing so well.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So moving forward, we get introduced to Delta Slim because Smoke and Stack want Sammy to play at the club, which is why they pick him up from his father's house, because they're related, they're cousins. Sammy is their cousin, right? But you know, Sammy can't be the only one playing that night, so they go and meet Delta Slim, who's this old blues man who plays by the train tracks, and he's damn good, but he also is a drunkard, and he also has had a very hard life, so his goal is really just to play, earn a little bit of money, and then drink the rest of his day away. And he's played by Delroy Lindo, who I thought was one of us. I thought he wasn't a tether, but the brother is actually English Jamaican, and he earned his American citizenship. But the way he acted in this film reminded me of so many of like my uncles, like just, you know, that real down south, you know, down home energy, because he really is probably like one of my favorite characters in this film. But what did you think about, you know, Delta Slim's character when we're introduced to him? He doesn't want to work at the bar, but he'll do it for beer. What did you think? I
think he's a true commie. Because like, yeah, he's like, hey, give me like the money for me to continue my life. I don't need more. I don't have these capitalistic dreams that you have, you know. I just need my liquor and my money to feed myself. And that's it. And, you know, and in I don't know, in Turkey we have a saying like, home is where you get fed. And it's sort of like that, like, you know, he goes to this juke joint already that's giving him money for the last 20 years. He doesn't need like a big breakout moment, and he's satisfied. So I think he's a commie. And I really liked his character because he's the wise guy, you know?
No, he is very wise. Like, you know, you look at him and you think, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. But he at first doesn't want to work at the club because he's like, yeah, you guys might pay me more than what I've ever made in one night. But will it be tomorrow night or the next weekend and stuff like that? And he has a gig that he plays at a club all the time. So he is very smart and calculating. And you can tell he has that deep wisdom about him. While they're at the train station, Sammy sees this, you know, beautiful girl like checking them out as they're like playing together. Sammy and Delta Slim, and you know, the girl comes up and Sammy's like, are you gonna come to the club tonight? And she says, maybe, Sammy, I don't know. And then she like walks away but twists her hips to make sure her booty go up and down. But then Sammy also sees that there's this white woman looking at Stack or Stamp Michael B. Jordan. This white woman is checking out Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. Jordan says, that's my type. Smoke or Stack says, just ignore her, don't look at her. But then the white woman walks up and she says, so you just gonna fuck me and leave? Essentially. Right? And he says, woman, you better turn your voice down before they kill you. And I was thinking, boy, they're gonna kill you. Like, what are they talking about? But yeah, essentially, you know, Smoke or Stack had a relationship with this white woman, or light-skinned, very passing woman named Mary. And she is now living like a white woman, but she still wants to be black, or she still just wants a big black cock from Michael B. Jordan, I guess.
She's 1/4 black. How dare you?
Well, she's trying to get her half back.
I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, I thought both of the women were pretty. At first, I thought like Jordan was gonna be together with Pearline, which is the black girl that we get introduced to, but that sort of becomes...
Who's Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, you thought Michael B. Jordan was gonna hook up with Pearline?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't like make that connection. But yeah. From the way that like Mary was angry at Michael B. Jordan, yes, it was like a heartache and being like left dry, but also I felt like there was something like more money wise, and they had like some type of like, you know, family relationship.
Yeah, because she's talking about, you know, my mom just died and you didn't even send flowers, like, you know, you should be better than that, we're family, right? Yeah. But he's sort of like cut her off. As we find out later in this film that, you know, he cut her off for a good reason. He's trying to help her move up. Which makes me think like Smoke and Stamp sort of are like social climbers to some degree. Maybe, you know, they kind of maybe don't even respect their own people to some degree. They're like, if you have the chance to be white, go ahead and do that, right? If we can make money selling alcohol and booze and cigarettes to our people, we'll do that. You get what I'm saying? It kind of comes across that way if you think and sit back and look at their motivations and what they do.
I mean, that's capitalism, though.
That is like, true.
No matter what, you just strive to go up, and it does not matter how you make the money or who you make the money from. Yeah. So yeah, that is essentially them. Yeah. And you know, I guess like the name of the movie, Sinners, is that they are pretty big sinners if you look at it holistically. Yeah, their life. Yeah, like they are lying, they're killing people, they are sort of poisoning their own people, I guess, through alcohol, whatever you call it. But they're also like good people who try to bring wealth into their community as well. So yeah, it's weird, you know.
I think every sinner says, I'm not hurting anybody, you know what I mean, or I'm doing the right thing, and all of these people sort of tell themselves like we're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I think there is that point that somebody brings up to Smoke and Stack, like, you know, you're opening a club to just sell alcohol and booze to our people, and like these people have been working all day, they deserve to like, you know, dance till they stank. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, okay, like, I don't think you can say one or the other is better because, yeah, you have the folks who are picking cotton every day. They're making a, honest living, but they are being exploited by the system.
Yeah.
And then there are the twins who are not making honest money, but they are rebelling against the system. So, like, which one is it,
Yeah.
There isn't very much of a right or a wrong.
Yeah, it takes those rule breakers and barrier pushers to, I guess, make progress. But how much progress can be made if you're just going to do the same thing that people have done to you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, basically, one more character is introduced, while Smoke and Stack are, like, running around. In fact, two more characters. Omar Miller plays a guy named Cornbread. Omar Miller is a great actor. We saw him in Miracle at St. Anna, a Spike Lee joint that y'all should go check out. And we also get introduced to the woman who is Smoke's ex-wife or baby mama or something like that. They had a thing going on, played by Wunmi Mosaku. She plays Annie, who is this woman who lives outside of town in this cottage, and she basically makes root medicine for people. She practices hoodoo, which is like African American spiritual religion and stuff like that. Smoke goes to meet her, and he's mourning the death of their child because there's like this little graveyard there, and they have different philosophies. Like Annie believes in the spiritual world and like the protection of the ancestors and the roots and stuff like that. And Smoke is like, I've seen men die. I've seen nothing but power rule this world. And so then she says, but you still got on the magic amulet bracelet with herbs that I gave you. And he's like, you're right. Let me hit that. And so then they smash in the kitchen, and basically Stack meanwhile is talking to Cornbread and saying, hey, can you do security for us, and maybe I'll give you enough money for your wife to actually fuck you, which is crazy because Cornbread, when he pulled up on Cornbread, his wife was already pregnant.
Yeah.
So like Cornbread been putting in work. You get what I'm saying? But anyway, what do you think of those two characters getting introduced?
Yes. So first with Cornbread, I really throughout the movie like the scenes with the cotton fields because it looks so vast, and it's just such a wide shot. Even if it's like we're seeing the talking of one character, we can see like the whole thing, and it just makes it seem like damn, like how many like acres do they have to work and stuff like that. So, and it also looks like beautiful in a way because it's a field, but it also you see the sadness in it as well. So I really like those scenes. Cornbread, he's just like, Omar Benson is such a sympathetic guy. Like you cannot not love him.
Omar Miller.
Yes. Omar Benson Miller.
Okay.
That's his middle name. Anyway. But yeah, I like the fact that his wife was like, how much money?
after Stack said like, well, fuck your wife too. And then Cornbread said, what? I'm gonna fuck you up. And then he said, no, I meant to say, maybe your wife will fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I like the fact that it wasn't just like, we're just men and we're just like, we always want to make money no matter what is the, purpose. But Cornbread's wife said, go and make that money and bring me like food, basically. Yeah. And I like that, like her addition. About Annie, the witch lady, played by Wunmi Mosaku, I loved her. And I might be biased because, you're a witch. You refer to me as a witch, and I sort of embodied that, and I like that. I like the spiritualism of it. And I also just love her in the screen because she's like a thick woman. Face card is not declining ever. And I really, really like sort of related to her, and I liked her energy. And I like those like type of stuff too. Not that I do it, but I just like seeing it and hearing about it. And she also feels very wise as well. Yeah,
thinking of the casting for me, I feel like, if I'm thinking positively, they casted Wunmi, this woman who doesn't typically look like a movie star. I mean, she is like a larger black woman, you know what I mean? They casted her to say okay, this is representation. We can also have a projection of what a beautiful woman looks like, who is desired and lusted after in the film, and she doesn't have to look like model stick figure like Mary, right? Mary is what's considered conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
The bad side of me feels like they casted her so that Michael B. Jordan can finally get these "he only loves white women" rumors off his back. Because in this film, he sort of is able to do both. He's able to kiss all over his preference and then do his job by kissing on a black woman. That's how I know that sounds bad, but Michael B. Jordan has been dogged online for his lusting after white women, right?
I mean, what was going through my head was how lucky is he that he gets to live the best of the both worlds.
Okay.
Basically, this white European looking lady and then this Central African lady, he's getting it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, he's so lucky.
Yeah,
I think that's why he said yes.
They came to him with the script and they said, okay, so your brother is Lakeith Stanfield and he's lusted after for this white European woman, and you gotta be with this black woman. He said, boy, you better make me a twin. You better make me a twin. That's how it went down. But yeah, no, shout out to her. I like her character a lot. We don't see characters like that, and I feel like that film, that part also reminded me, because she was talking about, later on she talks more about African spirituality and stuff like that, but she mentioned the Hank, and I'm jumping ahead a bit, but the Hank is also a character from the film we watched, To Sleep with Anger. The Danny Glover's character in that film was a Hank, somebody who's from the spirit world and stuff like that. So I like how we're getting some of this African American spirituality that's very hard to come by. It's not commonly known. Even a lot of black folks don't know about it.
And it's hard to make it this authentic.
Yeah, it's hard to make it this authentic. It wasn't cheesy. Yeah, it wasn't cheesy, but also include different references to stuff that I was literally thinking oh, Hank is Danny Glover and what's his name? Sleep with Anger. Right. So yeah, that was cool. So yeah, basically, all that happens, right? All the characters are rounded up. We get a good background of the main protagonist. Then we get to meet the antagonist, and we're just sort of dropped into it. There's this white guy who's his skin is burning off, and he's running into this house during sunset, right, in the afternoon, right? And he's he knocks on the door. Two white people, one man, one woman, point guns at him and says, "You better get back from here now. Go on now." And he says, "No, please, you got to help me. I'm being chased by some Indians. Some Indians are chasing me." And he says, "I ain't got much money, but here's what I got." And he looks inside and he sees the Klan robe, and he sees yeah, these are the type of white folks that will protect me. They'll protect the white race. So yeah, of course the white folks take him in because they're hateful. They hate the Indians. Who knows who this guy is, right? The Indians come knocking on the door later, and they say, "Don't let that man in. He is not who you think he is." And the white woman pointing the gun says, "Go on now, get." And he looks at the Klan robe, and he says, "You have a nice day, ma'am." And the Indians ride off and says, "We're done here." And so, yeah.
Not our problem anymore.
Not our problem anymore.
It's your personal problem.
Yeah. And so then, the white woman who was pointing the gun goes back and finds her husband dead, and the man who bit her is covered in blood and says, "Don't worry, he's just resting now." And she gets out. This was a good Hollywood, scream, ah, a good horror scream. And he says, no, none of that right now. And then it fades away. I really like that scene. I like how the vampires are done. And shout out to the guy who plays him, Jack O'Connell, English actor. He plays Remick, the Irish vampire. So what did you think of the scenes introducing us to the antagonist?
Yeah, at first I thought the guy who came to the door, he was the person who got attacked by the vampire. I was thinking. But then it turned out he was the vampire, and I was kind of very shocked, and I liked it too. It was you weren't too sure about like this guy, and I like the inclusion of like the Native Americans there as well. That was a nice touch. And yeah, that was very intriguing. I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go now?
Yeah, I was hoping that the Native Americans will pop up later in the film. But they didn't. But I really liked their addition. I heard they were speaking their own native language too, which is hard to hear on film. Like, we haven't heard that since like Killers of the Flower Moon, like 2 years ago or something like that. So that was good to have that sort of inclusion, for lack of a better word there. And now we're heading towards like the main, action of this film, right? So it's late at night. The bar, the juke joint, finally opens, and things aren't going well because the people that work on the farms, they get paid in credits. They don't get paid in money. They get paid in like credits that they can use to then give back to the white man. And I thought that was a plot hole in this film. Like, how did you not know this before? They did no market research. Like, hey guys, we're gonna open a business. Everybody here gets paid in Monopoly money. Oh my God. Oh, what the fuck are we doing? We're really dumb. These are really dumb gangsters. Did you not find that?
A bit, yeah. I'm like, weren't you from the South?
Yeah, you should know this.
Yeah.
It's so basic. But yeah, basically everybody's having a good time, Delta Slim is on the keys, on the piano, singing, dancing, and stuff like that. Mary comes into the club and she wants to be a part of it, but Smoke or Stack, doesn't want her to come. And, she insists on coming and being in the house. Everybody else is like doing their job, cooking, watching the door, playing music, stuff like that. But then the vampires that we saw earlier, the 3 white people come up to the door and say, hey, we just want to come inside. We're good people. We just want to sing our songs and we believe in equality, brother. And they say, no, you can't come in. No, you can't come. And they start singing their little song too. And, it was kind of cute, but kind of hokey and stuff like that. And they say, all right, go on now, we don't want you here. And they say, okay, but we'll walk away really slow unless you change your mind. And so, yeah, what did you think of those scenes, if anything?
I really like the scenes in the juke joint because it's like this big ceilinged, place with different rooms and stuff like that. But I just thought that the whole cinematography of it was done so well that it wasn't claustrophobic. It wasn't like too crowded, too chaotic. And I think it really was able to bring the energy of a juke joint. And yeah, it was like fun to see everyone dancing and relaxing. And like you said, I thought also the conflict between Stack and Smoke, one of them, I think it was Smoke, who was a bit more capitalistic, right? He was saying like, oh no, we can't let this happen. But then the other guy, Stack, he was saying like, it's okay, like this is the first night, let them have it, and this is how we will also like get people to come in as well, and it's like a business move. So I like that. And then also when Mary comes in, we see that she knows everyone. So we know she's like well off in the community.
Well, people knew her growing up, right? And that's when we find out, the reason they have that bond is because she's half white. Her mother was like passing and married a white man, right? But they were still a part of the black community because like her mother took care of Smoke and Stack. We also find out that that's true.
Her grandfather was black.
One of them.
Grandfather.
But I'm talking about her mother was like half black, right? And married a white man, right? So now she's like almost there, right? So, but yeah, her mother still delivered Smoke and Stack into this world, when their mother was born. We also find out earlier in this film that Smoke and Stack killed their father, or at least one of them did, right? So that's why they also have that notorious reputation. And there's they do include Mary in this thing, but I think it was interesting how at the door, like everybody gets vetted, right? And that becomes later. Like to get in, you have to be a part of the community. They check you at the door, and then you're invited into the cookout. Another thing I wanted to say about that whole scene is that it reminded me a lot of Suge Avery's club scene in Color Purple, which was so good. And this movie draws from a lot of places. Like From Dusk Till Dawn meets Color Purple meets Rosewood.
I mean, there are all like black culture back in the day, and in the South, but also before the vampires show up, there is the big scene that we have to talk about, because that's what lures the vampires in.
Yes, actually. That's very true. That's very true. Sorry, I skipped over that. So probably one of the most surprising scenes, and one of the scenes people have been giving a lot of commentary about, is when little Sammy, preacher boy, comes up to the front and Delta Slim says, "Go on now, play the blues." And so little Sammy starts singing his song, and he plays so well that the people are so enraptured, they just start dancing and singing, and and then also he conjures up the spirits of the past and the future, and it becomes this fusion of all different types of black music from the past, like the African griots playing their old instruments from the continent, and like newer stuff like, Parliament Funkadelic, electric guitars, shredding, Jimi Hendrix type stuff. Then you see the hip hop DJs and the break dancers. Then you see like West Coast gangster rap influence. But then it also ties, music is so powerful that it also ties in people from other cultures, like the Chinese couple who are also at the club as well. They start seeing their music ancestors come alive too and a part of the party and stuff like that. And Sammy is just singing so hard that the roof is on fire. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
The roof is on fire. Let that motherfucker burn. And so the house burns down and the people are still like singing. But this is all like spiritual. Like it doesn't literally burn down. But that's how the vampires see it. They see that Sammy has had the crowd controlled through the music and the spirits are dancing. And so they say like, yeah, we want that. We need that. So, what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, that scene was extremely powerful. I really liked it because it starts like, okay, at first you hear the music, right? And the music is good. And Sammy's voice, I don't know if it's Miles Caton's real voice, but he has like this deep, soulful voice. And that's really good. And, he also says, this is a song, about my father and stuff like that. So, it comes from, like, family, it comes from roots and stuff like that. And then first you see, like, the African dancers coming in from the past. And you're like, I was thinking, like, oh, like, that's so cool. Like, I see what they're doing. And then it takes you to the future. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is getting even better. And then as you see different characters, like, come up and build up and you get those references, I'm like, okay, this is really dope. Like, I really, really like how it became, like, a circus of like soul and culture.
And the thing is, the actual song goes from a blues song that they add electric guitar on top, hip hop on top, Chinese music on top. And that goes to show, I heard, Chuck D say this because I'm writing a piece on Public Enemy for Culturalist Theory. He said, we are all children of the blues. And literally, like, if you play the blues but put anything else on top of it, it makes sense.
Yeah, that was so dope. And like the house burning down is also like kind of a symbol of like people that have been through it all, like slavery, like colonization, like war, and all those things. But no matter like how much bad there is and how much destruction there is around them, music is just one thing that keeps hope.
The roof is on fire.
That was such a dope and the camera was so good too, because it was one take and the camera was turning around.
Yeah, single shot.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. We don't need no water. Let that motherfucker burn. That was so good. So good. Yeah, shout out to that scene alone might make this film, goated. You know what I mean? Like that's so good. That's
definitely a scene that you won't forget.
You won't forget.
It's so unique.
And you probably will watch it again like on YouTube for like those scenes like, you gotta see this in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was very dope. That caused the vampires to come. And so because the club is having money issues, Mary goes up to Smoke or Stack, either one, and says, listen, those white boys, they got real money, unlike, our clientele here. Let me go talk to them. Because I'm white looking, they'll say things to me that they won't say to you, right? So I'll find out the real deal. So it was interesting how Mary was trying to play like both sides or whatever. So she goes out. There's also some other storylines that are happening here too, like Sammy and Pearline. Like Sammy was taught by Smoke and Stack, how to please a woman. So he goes down on Pearline in the back, even though she had been walking like 5 miles to get to the club, and she said, "Please let me wash up," and he said, "Let me taste you, girl." So then he like throws her legs up and starts tasting that thing, and she says, "Oh, Sammy," and she's going in. And so while Sammy is like lapping that thing up, Mary goes outside and talks to the Irish vampires, and they're playing like this very, mournful, soulful Irish like folk song about the mountains and stuff. And Mary's like, "Tell me what money you have," and they pull out these gold coins, and she doesn't recognize them, and he says they're from another time and dimension. And "I can tell you're very sad. We can help you with your sadness." And she's like, "Now y'all better go. Y'all don't know nothing about me." So she like runs away after like pointing her gun at them. But then like one of the vampires like jumps on her, but we don't see the actual attack. Mm-hmm. What did you think of any of those scenes?
I really like the fact that how like when the music was playing, everything was so great. Mm-hmm. And later in the movie that will like come up as well. Mm-hmm. One more time, but when the music is playing, everything is great. And then after the music like doesn't stop, but the best part of the music passes, I guess. Mm-hmm. Everything goes like in sinful ways. Mm-hmm. Like first, Pearline and Sammy like commit adultery because she is married.
Oh yeah, she is.
And then I don't know, like other stuff happened. The vampires come out, and it just reminds me so much of like, I know this is such a wide reach, but like you're in the club or wherever at a bar, and you have the greatest time of your life dancing and vibing. But then after a certain point, you get so drunk that you make mistakes. Yeah. Like you have a bad, one night stand or something, and things like that. And it just reminded me of that. I'm like, oh, everything is gonna go to shit now.
Yeah. Or I mean, it's just like Sammy was like, rock star lifestyle. You know what I mean? He just blew the roof off the stage, so now he's gonna get some cooch. But what's the problems that come with that? Yeah. That was interesting. Any comments on the meeting of the Irish vampires with Mary?
I mean, I sort of like saw that Mary. I sort of felt that Mary was going to be the first one to get transformed because she's the only one who has access to the club and to the white people. Yeah. At the same time, so I kind of saw that coming. But yeah,
it was also, I think, having Mary be the first one get bit was sort of like a play on the idea that black people are the first ones to die in a horror film. But really, if you think about it, who would be the last ones to die? It's the skeptical people. Black people are like, "Nah, you can't come inside. We don't know you like that." But the white folks are like, "Well, let me go talk to him." Yeah, just let him inside. Just let him inside. He looks like he's scared. He's running from the Indians. So, of course, the white people got the first bit. So they got the ass bit. You know what I mean? Because they too trusting.
That's a good point.
So, there was that. I like that Mary did that and talked to them. And because I kind of like that song. I liked all the music in this film. There wasn't a bad song other than like the AI music at the very beginning, which felt very mid-Journey prompt. When the club scene started happening, I liked the Irish music. I also liked, Sammy's stuff too.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. But going in, Pearline hits the stage after we see Mary get bit, and she does like this sensual, sexy dance and stuff like that. And she's got the whole club rocking, going crazy. Mary comes in and she meets up with Smoke or Stack. Not the guy.
Smoke, I think.
Okay, yeah, Smoke. Who cares? She meets up with Smoke, and he's like, "Damn, Mary, something's different about you." She's like, "I just want to drink and dance and get to know you better," or something like that. And he's like, "But you're trying to get with my brother." And he's like, and she's like, "You're a soldier. You killed men. You can't kill this pussy for me." Like Mary's got the rawest lines in here. Like she just be saying it. Like she just
white girl power.
White girl power. So basically Mary and Smoke go into the back and they start humping, right? Somebody tells Sammy, "Hey, try to get Smoke. I need to talk to him." And Sammy goes back there and sees Mary hopping up and down on Smoke. So he goes back to Stack and says, "I'm not going in there. He's getting some." And he doesn't want to say who because he's, shy about that and stuff. So Stack goes back there and sees, but now Mary isn't hopping up and down. She's chomping on him, eating them and stuff like that. And Mary says, like, it's not what it looks like. I'm so sorry, right? And he sees his brother's almost dead, so he shoots Mary a bunch of times. Mary gets up and says, ha ha ha, like a crazy woman. It was kind of funny. He says, you can't kill me, bitch. And so she like runs out of the place. And everybody's like, what the fuck was that? And everybody's just shocked, and the party starts to go in disarray because they hear the gunshots. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, once again, at the same time everything was happening with Mary and Smoke, there was also like a fight at the club. Mm-hmm. And then also after, Sammy's performance and he got some coochie, he was feeling like he's on top of the world. Mm-hmm. So he decided to go up to Stack and say, I'm going to go to Chicago and I'm going to be a big like superstar. I'm going to leave all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave the South. And they sort of have this, conflict with Stack. Because Stack was like, I don't think that's good for you to do. You should go back to your father's. Mm-hmm. He's a good man. He's a pastor. You should sing in the church.
Yeah, be the preacher boy.
Yeah. So all this like I said, conflict starting to happen, and it's sort of like leading up to this one very bad thing, which is Smoke dying. Yeah. From what we know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I like the whole like sort of sex scene. I think this movie overall is very sexy. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of like pussy words and also like
pussy eating. I thought you would be happy
eating.
about that.
Yeah, I am. And like a lot of like sex, because I think overall vampires are sexy. Mm-hmm. Like they are just sexy creatures. But yeah, I like the whole sort of leading up to trouble things, that there were like different things.
There is a lot of build up, like that fight that Stack breaks up between two guys fighting over a dice game or something like that. The conflict that Sammy is having, about being the preacher boy or being the blues man he wants to be, that's important to the story as well. But I just don't find it to be that deep as they're continuing to build on it. I think, we sort of get it already. Like, he's torn in between the worlds. And I find it weird that Smoke or Stack would be like, you need to go back to your father after you literally just took him away. And you saw him play really well on stage. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but Stack sort of, like, threatens him and says, like, you're never going to play in this joint again. Mm-hmm. But I think that's, like, sort of a bit of an old generation, young generation conflict, because... Yeah, the older generation, basically Stack and Smoke, are saying like, oh, okay, we've been that. We did that. We went to Chicago. There's nothing good there. Yeah. So we're trying to warn you. Yeah. But the problem is, like, with younger people, they're not going to accept it until they live it. Mm-hmm. And maybe something else will come out of it, Yeah.
So, moving on, after... Mary runs away after getting shot. They tell everybody, hey, go home. The club's closed. And so people have to leave, unfortunately, and stuff like that. And the only people that know really what happened is like Delta Slim, Sammy, Stack is living, or Smoke.
Stack is living, Smoke is dead.
Okay, yeah, Stack. Now I can finally just say it. Okay, Stack. Stack is like, okay, I don't know what the hell is happening, right? But y'all gotta go, right? And so some more things start to happen, right? Cornbread goes out to piss and he gets attacked and bit. He tries to re-enter the place, but the people say, well, you can just walk your big ass in here. But he says, no, man, I'm trying to be polite. You need to invite me in. And then they find out he's a vampire when he tries to bite Stack after he pays him and stuff like that. And they blow his jaw completely off, but then he just walks it off. And so that's when Annie starts to say, these aren't Hanks, these are vampires, right? And these vampires, there's only a few ways to kill them, and she knows the tradition, right? Stake to the heart, silver bullet, garlic, cross, holy water, blah, 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 blah. I kind of wish that they made it a bit more, unique about how to deal with vampires. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that's so Eastern European traditional, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like, I wish they said something like, vampires don't like dark meat chicken. You know what I mean? Or if you give a vampire a watermelon with white seeds, it'll choke on it. You know what I mean? Like something like more Black American traditional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I honestly like the fact that they kept it traditional. Okay, and now I'm sorry, the one who stayed alive was Smoke, and the one who turned into a vampire is Stack.
Who cares? Who cares?
Anyway,
the twin shit is retarded to me. It's so bad in this film.
Anyway, but yeah, I like the fact that they kept it traditional when it came to the vampires, because I felt like it created, like, us, the audience, already haven't seen a lot of vampire movies, know what is up.
Yeah.
And in the movie, only one person, who is Annie, knows what is up.
Okay.
So I like the fact that, we already know that they are vampires. They don't know. So it's like, there's this, like, anticipation of, like, when are they going to learn?
When are they going to discover?
Yeah. So I like that, and I don't think this movie needed more complications, honestly, because it does have a lot of culture.
I'm just saying, like, if this film is gonna be not like us for the 21st century on cinema, it might as well just go all the way. You know what I mean? Like, the one way to kill a vampire is calling them a colonizer,
feeding them unspiced chicken.
Calling them an OV hoe. Like, this will make a vampire crumble. Like, I don't know how. Like,
not dancing to the rhythm.
Not dancing to the rhythm. Just shit like that. Mayonnaise to the jaw. Just putting mayonnaise on their skin will just make them.
Instead of garlic juice, they would throw like mayonnaise.
Yeah, like, I don't know. The macaroni and cheese is like half baked. You know what I mean? It's like, like shit like that. But yeah, basically, while they're in the house now, the white vampires come and say, hey, you need to let us in. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of the good guys. You need to accept us. We're here trying to bring y'all together. This club that you have, it's not going to last forever. It was going to eventually be burnt down by the Klan, and you guys were just sitting ducks waiting for the inevitable fall, right? Also, by the way, Smoke or Stack, the vampire, the vampire twin, breaks out of the door and tries to attack people, but they're able to, like, kick his ass out. Right, and he runs away and joins the group outside, and they're having like an Irish powwow, like another musical number is done. But yeah, basically we find out that the vampires' premise for what they're doing, or at least what they're telling people, is like, hey, once we bite you and make you a part of us, you're now a part of this new family that doesn't see race or color. This is our new sort of world religion. So what did you think about that reveal?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to talk about, like, the scenes where they're in the house stuck, and I like those type of, like, tension horror movies where, someone is stuck in a house and there's danger outside. I really like that, topic, and I really also, like, one by one, people, like, sort of turning into vampires, like the Chinese lady, Grace. Right, she sends her husband outside, and then her husband also becomes a vampire. And and her husband is like, "Oh yeah, come on, I got the car started." And they obviously know he's a vampire and stuff like that. And she has this breakdown of like, "Oh no, like my husband has become a vampire." And how they did like those sort of little bit of a montage, like getting ready for the vampires, like preparing wooden sticks and stuff like that. And the scene also where they eat garlic and they suspect that Delta Slim is a vampire because he drank too much and he feels like nauseous. I really like the whole thing, and also how they were suspicious of each other because anyone might have been bitten. But also like sort of trying to protect it. When it comes to that confrontation with the Irish vampire, when they come to the door and give them like a proposal, I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to ask you, like, if you are offered that type of chance.
Why would you do that to me?
No, I'm curious. Would you take it?
To be a black vampire forever. Number one, being a black vampire doesn't make sense because the sun is not our enemy. Like, if you're a black vampire, you have to be able to, like, be out in the sun, but at nighttime, you just can't. I don't know.
I mean, you can't. Like, that's just the facts. You can't go out in the sun.
That doesn't
Would you
make
accept,
sense.
like, being a black vampire?
A black vampire seems on the surface very dope, very cool. But living forever would be horrible, right? Like, that's the worst thing. Living forever. I mean, technically, you could kill yourself or you just go outside, but it's like, you're not suicidal. And maybe there's a reason vampires don't do that. You know what I mean?
Because they don't have a heart or a soul.
Yeah, they don't have a heart or soul. Maybe sometimes vampires believe like they're eventually going to get cured or die anyway. I don't know. I don't know. There's somebody needs to explore why somebody wouldn't just become a vampire to maybe get revenge then kill themselves. That might be an interesting take. But it's hard for me to say that I would hang out with a bunch of musty, dirty Irish peasants because they believe in this new hippie religion. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting, and I was thinking in that scene, what are the vampirism, like, what does it stand for? Because obviously it's not like, oh, white people are vampires and they're sucking the blood of black people. It's not that.
Yeah, it didn't
wasn't
become that.
And I'm like, okay, is it like capitalism? Is it saying that? Because when they came and like Stack was there with Mary and they were like, yeah, man, like we can do anything we want now that we're vampires. Like, you should join us. And all these sorts of like proposals given to them. It was like, I was thinking, I might become a vampire if I was in their position.
I think what the vampires were trying to represent is like the power of the hopeless or the oppressed if they're unified together, right? So they're sort of representing like, what if we really did put aside all of our differences in religion, race, culture, and unified, right? I think that's what it was supposed to represent. And maybe also this magical hippie belief, that white people tend to come up with every few generations, like the hippies or like, any other movement. They just say, man, we should all just be one, right? We should all be one. Let's just forget about the past. Let's just be one. But it's never just be one. It's like, yeah, we're all one as long as we follow you. You know what I mean? To some degree. That's what it felt like.
I mean, it was interesting because also like, the first people, Remick, right? Remick turned were from the clan. And they sort of forgot about the clanness.
Yeah, now they're hanging out with black folks and stuff, right? Yeah,
so that was interesting, but also you see the hypocrisy in it. Like Remick would tell, the clan members that a black man like attacked him, and then he would go up to the black folks and say, "Let's all be one." So it's like he's playing for himself.
Yeah, exactly, because that wasn't that wasn't his motive in the beginning. Yeah, right. But essentially, the Chinese woman in the house, when she sees her husband out there, and they threaten to go kill her child back at the town and stuff like that, she loses it and says basically, "Come on in," to everybody, and the vampires say, "Okay." And so then it became like a bit unbelievable during the final climax. There's this big fight scene when the vampires burst into the house. The Chinese lady like burns to death, stabbing one. Annie takes out maybe one or two. Delta Slim is like, slashing a few. And Stack or Smoke, the non-vampire twin, is like fighting people and stuff like that. But eventually Annie gets bit. Annie says, "Kill me so I don't become a vampire." He does it. And the other vampires are shocked for some reason. And they're like, "No." I don't know why they took it so seriously, because really they're just after Sammy. By the way, the vampires say, "Hey, we'll leave y'all alone. Just give us Sammy." And so, it becomes a big major fight scene where the vampires are basically like chasing the group of people here to bite them, but they really just want the boy with the guitar. To make a long story short, just to wrap it up, right? In the final fight scene, like Sammy gets caught by the vampires outside because he tries to run away. And the vampire's telling him this long story, like, "We're going to make you one of us." He's like baptizing him in the water up and down. But Sammy starts reciting like the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, kingdom come, will be done, blah, blah, blah." And the vampire starts reciting it too, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I've never seen a vampire recite the Bible. But then again, is it in the Bible? I think it's only a prayer. Either way. The vampire is killed by a stab in the back by the non-vampire twin after there's a big fight between the vampire twin and whatnot that we don't see the end of. And the sun is also rising at the same time. So all of the vampires, or at least what we think, burn up as they watch their leader get killed in the water, and he turns into a fire tornado and goes into the sky. What did you think of the final climax?
I liked it. I agree with you in the fact that there was sort of like a bit of a ridiculousness because they were only like 5-6 people fighting against like 15, 20 vampires. Yeah. That's sort of like a, unrealistic win. But I think if I remember correctly, Annie got killed because he thought the vampire Michael B. Jordan was actually the non-vampire Michael B. Jordan. Really? So there was that cliche confusion there. Oh, God. Because she says, like, I thought it was you or something as she's dying. And I thought maybe the other vampires were repulsed by Annie being killed because she was killed before she actually turned into a vampire.
And maybe she would have been powerful too because she knows spells and stuff.
Yeah. And, also vampires can like inherit the other person's mind,
and knowledge.
I guess. Yeah, knowledge. So maybe that was also the reason. But I really liked, the twins were sort of fighting each other at the end. I think we saw that coming. Yeah, there was a lot of things happening, so I can't really like point to all of them. But I do like the fact that there's that talk when they recite the Bible together, and the vampire says something like, this verse or this like religion was forced into my kind. But I still kind of like it, but I don't believe in it. Like, he sort of said something like anti-Christian, right?
What he said was, the same oppressors that forced you to learn that prayer also did that to my people. But we're going to build a new world together. And I didn't like the whole thing. And that was a very important point, but I felt like, why is it, he did the typical bad guy thing. I'm going to give you a whole speech before I kill you. And whoopsie, I get killed before I finish my last sentence.
I mean, you gotta have that stuff. Bro, this is not real life. It is a movie.
I know it is a movie.
You have to have the dramatics.
I was like, the way people are hyping this movie up, you thought there wouldn't be that many cliches. Like, listing it off, there's like a few cliches in this film.
But it works in this movie, I feel like.
There was no need for that whole random dialogue or monologue at the end from the vampire.
I liked it. Because that's how, like, manipulation works. Especially with just discriminated communities, because people can use that hate to create power together. And that was like sort of the point of the vampirism in the movie, I feel like, just to feed off of that hate. But yeah, and I thought also that Smoke killed Vampire Stack. That's how I assumed that it was gonna go down. But we're never showed that part.
Yeah, we're not. And that becomes important later. So later on, Sammy meets up with non-vampire.
Smoke.
Yeah, the non-vampire twin, whatever. And he's like, can I get my guitar back? And he says, he told me that he got it from a famous rock star. And he said, boy, no, you stupid as fuck. My brother was a liar. He just got that from my daddy. That was my daddy's guitar. I was like, that was kind of pointless. But okay, he just roasted him real quick.
That was.
Yeah. And so then Sammy rides off to go be with his father. And that's how the film sort of circles back around to the very beginning. He goes into the church. His father says, comes back to the Lord. And Sammy says, no. And so he takes his guitar and starts driving off to Chicago or wherever he's gone, right? Meanwhile, at the juke joint, non-vampire twin pulls out a bunch of guns out of the trunk, right, of his car, and waits for the Klan to show up. The Klan comes, they start knocking on the door. It's like 30 white guys, and he just starts picking them off. Pow, 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 pow. And he gets shot in his abdomen, but he still is able to like blow somebody up with like a grenade, Rambo style. And the big fat white man that sold him the house at the beginning is like begging for his life, like, nigga, you going to hell, but wait, I got money. I swear I got money. You good. And so non-vampire twin is slowly dying, and he looks to his right and he sees like Annie looking at him and says, you can hold your baby because now she's in heaven with his baby. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. But then the white man is still talking, please, please. And then he like lights his ass up with a gun. I thought that scene was very cool at the end. And I thought that scene was talking about like how, the vampire said, we're going to get back at this world with this new magic. But he's like, no, we can still fight back against this world without magic, without any sort of extra supernatural help. I really like that scene. But what'd you think?
Yeah, I like the idea that sort of two characters went their separate ways and they found whatever like they wanted in separate ways. With like Smoke's ending, I like the fact he ripped off the little protection necklace that he had, because I was like, oh, okay, he's ready to die. He's ready to like meet his ancestors or whoever is waiting for him.
Annie.
Yes, Annie, of course. And that scene was very cool. It reminded me of a little bit of Rebel Ridge, because it had the same type of energy, just like badass man kicking white people's ass. I was just so annoyed at Smoke that I'm like, can you kill this guy, please, before you die? Because it took such a long time.
Oh, you're not mad at that. You're mad at that, but you're not mad at the vampire for his monologue, like 2 minutes.
No, because we wanted him dead. We're done with his ass. He's a clan member that's trying to like trick black people and stuff like that. But that was very cool, and I didn't expect that, honestly.
Yeah. No, I didn't expect that either in the film. I sort of thought it was done, when the bad guy is over. I thought it was going to wrap up very nicely. But the film sort of has like 2 endings. You know what I mean? There's the final clan shootout, but then there's also another ending that comes at the very end. We see Sammy in the future. He has become like a very famous blues man, and he's playing on stage in Chicago in 1992, and he's had a bunch of fans. He looks like he's doing well for himself, right? And shout out to Kingfish as well, who is a very dope guitarist. He's on stage playing with Sammy. At the end of the show, we see that it's Sammy because like he has the scars on his face from like when the vampire struck him and stuff. And so the security guard says, I told the fans that you were leaving, but they really wanted to get in. They paid $200 each to come see you. So I told them they could talk to you. And they said, okay, bet, right? And so he walks in, and it's the vampire twin with Mary. And they've been living for the past, 60 years since the events of what happened, right? And we find out that the vampire twin lived because non-vampire twin made a promise, don't go after Sammy and I'll let you live, right? And so, they've been doing all sorts of stuff all around the world, but they smell Sammy and say, it doesn't look like you have much time, so do you want to live forever with us? And he's like, nah, I think I've seen enough, and boy, you look weird. Boy, what the fuck are you wearing? And so, Mary and the vampire twin sit down and listen to Sammy play the blues on the old guitar, and that's the end of the movie. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I really like the little second ending, because it's like, we don't see necessarily what happened to, the brother who was a vampire. So that was cool. And I liked, when the bodyguard said, should I invite them in? And then Sammy said, yeah, sure. And then he just stopped. Invite? Oh, shit. He was going to take a drink, and then he was like, oh, shit. All of it is coming back to me.
Oh, don't invite anybody in. Okay,
yeah. And, when the vampires came in, it was like Sammy remembered all the bad things, but he wasn't, in fear of his life anymore because he's already old. And by the way, I just realized the Sammy's club or band is called Purlines.
I just realized that. Okay.
Anyway, I like it's like the old wise man logic. He's like, I've seen enough. I don't need it.
Yeah.
And I think it also made it feel like, yeah, we might be on like separate sides, but we're still somewhat of a family.
Yeah,
we still stick out.
We started together, right? And like we're bonded by this very special event, moment in time.
Yeah.
And we've seen things that the world doesn't know about.
Yeah, and there was like the conversation of, I don't know about you, but before everything happened and the vampires showed up, that was the best day of my life.
Yeah.
And they sort of like agree on that.
Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Even the people that are suffering now, because the vampires are definitely suffering now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the ending, the second ending, I really liked too. That was, it's good that it didn't leave like a sequel in the air. Like, we don't want to see Sinners 2. Like, it's good that it finishes right here.
I was scared of that when the twin who lived started like, getting guns. I was like, oh no, it's leading to a second one.
Yeah, vampire hunter now.
Yeah.
Like in the deep south. Like no more sequels to this. Very good original story. I just know Stack and Marie have the worst relationship ever.
Yeah.
Because if you lived from 1930 whatever to like 1992, all you bitch and complain about today is like how bread used to be a nickel. I remember when a gallon of milk was $1, and now it's like $2, and your mind is blown. Like, you cannot imagine this world.
Also, like, that's the only person who would understand you.
Yeah, it would be, but they just go back and forth all day. They look like they're 25, but they argue like an old married couple.
Yeah, because they are. Inside they are.
Inside they are, and they just have to bite random people all day and live underground and only each other. Like, everybody else died.
Yeah.
These new vampires, they ain't like the old ones. You know what I mean? They
go to the emergency room and just suck it from the.
Yeah, they ain't built like a. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, these young whippersnappers. So yeah. Anyway, I like the second ending. Overall, I think this was a good movie. Ryan Coogler is like Spike Lee meets James Cameron. He knows how to make a good action horror popcorn flick. I wish him much success, but I think we cannot just have him and Michael B. Jordan doing everything too much. Like, this is now circle jerking to the extent, bro, I'm gonna have you star twice in my movie. Thanks, bro. Yo, appreciate that. Like, let some other people in that thing. I know they're trying to do like the Scorsese De Niro thing. Martin Scorsese had De Niro in everything. Mm-hmm. Bro, just branch out a bit. Grab some other people and put them in. Because this twin thing was ridiculous. So I'm giving it a 6.5.
Okay. I mean, the more that we talked about it, the more I liked this movie, honestly. And I could see why some people are saying, like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is going to be the best movie, of the year. I can see why that is. For me, like, just personal preference, I don't think, like, this is the best movie, I've been waiting for or I've seen. But I do appreciate it, and I think it's a very well made, like, detail oriented movie. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give it like a 8. Actually,
give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay, this is interesting. I was really going into this trying to love it, wanting to love it, expecting to love it, and I'm not disappointed. I'm just like, that's a good film, but it's not, everything that I think it should be. For what it is trying to do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Too many cliches, too many twins. Too many twins. Alright, that's it. By the way, shout out to Buddy Guy. He is a real jazz blues guitarist legend in and of himself. Shout out to him as well. Alright, so that's episode 118 of Simon and Akdi Movie Reviews. Sinners is done. If you have a film that you think we should do, put it in the comment section. We'll try to get to it. Y'all be easy out there, and peace.